INEOS is cornered. Erik Ten Hag might be in luck as we count down to a decision about his future at Manchester United. Welcome to the United Hotspot. My name is Webb. Before we take on Arsenal, I'm here to give you a current update concerning the job of the boss, Erik Ten Hag. You will love this one. Subscribe, share, and like this video as we get into this talk. Now, we all know there are people who are a little INEOS than most of us, and these include, of course, none other than Gary Neville. Now, Gary Neville has been speaking lately, and he seemed to hint on the fact that INEOS might be stuck with Erik Ten Hag for some time, perhaps give him a year or so to try and change things around, and they see what exactly he can do. Now, many of you have been questioning this, but I took time to make my research, try to dig around my contacts, close to the club, and here is an update for you. So here's the thing. We know that INEOS is counting down to the end of this season. After the FA Cup final, INEOS will be giving an official pronouncement on the job of Erik Ten Hag. Now, Ten Hag himself seems to be sure. In fact, he's using words like INEOS have common sense, that they see the injuries he has got, and they know that if players are fit, if you have all your players and you're not changing combinations in the back line, you can play better football than this. So this is Erik Ten Hag speaking with confidence about his job and how secure it is. He doesn't seem to be shaken by all the pressure, all the media reports and speculations surrounding his job. But from my sources, this is what I gather, guys, that INEOS might be stuck with Erik Ten Hag for that period, for a year or a year and a half, not because he's their ideal option, but because their ideal option is making life difficult for them to get him. He's slowing them down. That is Zinedine Zidane. So, according to what I pick from my sources, and I told you this here before, that my preferred option would be Zidane. If not Zidane, stick with Erik Ten Hag. INEOS apparently seem to be in line with my with my suggestion. So the thing is, Zinedine Zidane has demanded for certain assurances that they can only give him after some time, because there cannot be a guarantee that United will perform, that United will have things right just because they change the structure, they change the personnel. Zinedine Zidane doesn't want to get it wrong when he comes back into management. Now, to INEOS, he is the preferred guy to come in and take on the job. To INEOS, he's the preferred person they're looking at. Now, they've been linked to Gareth Southgate. We've spoken about Thomas Tuchel. They've spoken about Graham Potter. But Zinedine Zidane is the preferred target for INEOS. The only thing is, Zidane himself is not in a rush to return to management, and he wants to return to manage a team that will succeed in an atmosphere that will allow him to succeed in perhaps at levels that are close to what he did at Real Madrid. So the fact that Zidane wants certain guarantees, what they are doing, according to what I'm gathering, is that they are saying, okay, let's give Erik Ten Hag a year, some more time, and we see what he does in the new structure. When Dan Ashworth is in and all this new structure is in, when he has got a transfer window, players have come in. If it works well for Erik Ten Hag, probably they will then have a thought to make. They will then say, okay, do we have to move on with Erik Ten Hag, or do we? Is Zinedine Zidane impressed with what we are doing? So the thing is, in football, these managers at times, whereas yes, Zinedine Zidane might be jobless, the fact that he left on a high, and by the way, this is why it's good to live on a high. The fact that he left on a high, clubs want Zidane more than he want back to any club. That's why he will set his own standards as a manager and say, this is what I want, these are the assurances I want, this is the contract I want, this is my contribution, this is how I want things to happen. So with Zidane, they seem to be uncertain. I think they have tried to test all the other managers that they have been linked with, and it was all intention. Don't think these speculations are out of nowhere. There is never smoke without fire. All these Graham Potters, Thomas Tuchel, Gareth Southgate, all the speculations are deliberately made public by INEOS so that they test the public and the fans to see their reaction. Because INEOS coming in as new guys in charge of football at United would want to have the fans come along. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has made it clear from the onset that the fans are the owners of this club, and he does not want, he cannot even afford to get the fans on the wrong side when he's starting his work, his spell. Because if that happens, remember, he was not too many the popular option to take the club. Most people wanted Sheikh Jassim to come and take it fully. Now that he has come in, he has got to endear himself to the owners of the club, like he said, the fans, that is the supporters. So he cannot start on a wrong slate. So that's why they will publicize these speculations, talk about which managers they are linked with, then they watch these social media reactions and the banter and everything to see, okay, I think majority of the fans don't like this guy. Because unlike before, today because of social media, you can drop something and see the reaction. Drop and see the reaction. I think they saw that Zinedine Zidane, I think, got a lot of support. I think not so many Man United supporters would be excited to see Zidane. So Zidane seems to be the guy they want, but himself is not in a rush to come back into management. He wants to be guaranteed certain things. So what then the INEOS do? They are saying, okay, better the devil you know than the angel you don't, because there are people who will understand, even those who are not entirely for Erik Ten Hag, will understand that because of these injuries, maybe that's why he didn't perform. After all, he had a good last season, won a title, reached a FA Cup final, was third in the league. He has shown that he can manage. Stick with him a bit and see how it goes. If it goes well, you can prolong and stay with him. Or if it goes well, it will buy time for Zinedine Zidane to see what you're doing with the club, what you've changed with the club, and maybe it will be easier to convince him to come on. So that's a bit of what's happening. So what I'm here to tell you is that most likely from what we gather around INEOS, the decision that might have been made by INEOS, I think, unless something changes between now and then, but from the people close to the club, it seems Erik Ten Hag might be given some bit of time. Not exactly because that's what INEOS would have wished to do or would have wanted to do, but mostly because of the situation that they're, I think, trapped between a rock and a hard place. That the only smart thing to do is first sort everything around Erik Ten Hag. Then, as time goes by, you should be able to then find a clear solution. Because remember that even Dan Ashworth is not in place. United cannot bring in a new manager before Dan Ashworth is in place. You know why? Because Dan Ashworth is going to have the core role when it comes to defining the structure of football they want to play. But they seem to be convinced that Zinedine Zidane is the personality who can fit into whichever structure they want to play. How and because they have an idea, even if Dan Ashworth is not exactly there, they have an idea. Whereas they're not the technical people, they have an idea of how they would want Man United to play. As INEOS, when they were coming in, when they were approaching, the Glazers to give them their plan for the club before they allowed to sell to them the 27.7%, they certainly had an idea. But of course, Dan Ashworth is the technical person to come and put it in proper place. They'll probably sit him down and explain to him what they would want to, United style to look like, because that's the first thing that Ineos wants to do. And when, of course, they exchange ideas, when they all agree, then Dan Ashworth will structure it properly for them. Now they know that Zinedine Zidane, the personality, the stature, the profile, and everything about him will fit whatever they envision United to play. But they cannot rush into bringing him before Dan Ashworth is in place. So that's why Ineos are rushing in every possible way to get Dan Ashworth, because he's the one missing piece in the puzzle, yet he is an important piece. He's a queen. If it's a game of chess, he's a queen. So that's exactly what is happening. So Erik Ten Hag might be lucky, might be bought some bit of time. He might be thinking, you know what, I've got this time now to make things work. So the summer transfer window will be given not exactly to him, because this summer transfer window is going to be mostly about letting go of players and recruiting a few crucial players smartly. They won't rush into anything, by the way. They will be smart in their recruitments. They are going to be extremely smart in their recruitment. So this transfer window won't be about Erik Ten Hag. It will be about INEOS and where they want to go, because they have a proper idea of where they want to go. But that soon they will have the guy they need in place in the event that Erik Ten Hag doesn't have things go well. So that is, again, things I'm getting from, of course, from Gary Neville's statement that forced me to try and dig around from my bit of contacts that who are better placed around the club, Manchester United. Erik Ten Hag's job is indeed the biggest and most difficult job in the world. Don't tell me about being CEO of Google or of Apple or what have you. I think there is no job more difficult than being manager of Manchester United, fam. Not there. Wow. Subscribe, and I'll catch you later.